And turn the record on. Recording.
All right. All right, well, let's get going then. Right, kia ora koutou. So welcome. Today is about a bit of an inspiration session with Enviro Schools in Taranaki. The reason why we're doing these, there's quite a few of our wonderful schools that have got some really amazing things. So it can be whole school, could be project-based. There's a whole lot of things that, each different school we've been recognising. We're like, oh, could you showcase that and inspire other people and share your story? So we're hopeful to bring you more of these. So I'm Laree, the regional coordinator for Taranaki, and we've got a couple of our facilitators on board today too. Sue Ryan is from Central Taranaki. Sue's waving. Richard, poor Richard at home with the Rona. Richard is our North Taranaki facilitator, and then we've also got Esther Ward Campbell down in our South Taranaki area. So we're based out of the Taranaki Regional Council, and it's lovely to see Mr. Chauncey joining us today. Chauncey's wearing many hats, but Chauncey also is one of our co-workers at the council. Chauncey, if you don't know, if you've just seen his face today, also drives the Towards Predator Free kaupapa. So that's that, Chauncey, if ever you're looking for him. So Enviro Schools, if anyone's watching this or on here now and you're primary to secondary level and you're not an Enviro School yet, and you're keen, we've got room for Enviro or new schools to come on board in each of our 3 different districts in Taranaki. And if you're watching this and you want to become an Enviro School and you're not at the moment, then go to the Enviro Schools website and find your region. Otherwise, just get in contact with us. All our contact details are available through the Enviro Schools website. So let us know if you want to host one of these inspiration sessions, and it can be about anything that suits you best. This particular one, we're going to join with Ali Scott at Spotswood College. Spotswood's fairly new on the Enviro Schools journey, but then COVID has changed everything. So, and it's all about, you know, how we're working creatively as well. So if you've got something that you want to talk about like that, that'd be great too. So Ali's probably going to be able to introduce herself and give us a little bit of a rundown about how she got here and how this kaupapa is working in her space, what works for them, and maybe give you some examples of what they actually do. So over to you, Ali.
Kia ora, Laree, and hello everybody. As Laree said, I'm Ali from Spotswood College. What I'll be sharing today, I guess, is we have been under new management for 4 years now, and so I'm going to be talking mostly about our new curriculum journey, because our curriculum completely changed. In fact, everything completely changed under our new management. But I want to share our impact inquiry program in particular. All our junior students do an impact inquiry, and it's part of our sort of core learning. Every single one of them do it, and it's embedded right into our sort of core learning here at Spotswood College. I probably won't have time to share the strategies that we use, but I want to focus on like the why, and I just really want to share a lot of the cool projects that have been coming out of our junior impact inquiry curriculum, because there's so many like cool things that have just come out of the program in the last few years. But I guess the overall sort of message that I wanted to like I wanted to portray, I suppose, was that sustainability can quite easily be embedded into our curriculum, into our everyday, you know, the reasons why we do everything. I know that the load on teachers these days has increased immensely, especially in the last 20 years that I've been teaching. We have to consider all things now. We have UDL, we have differentiation, we have Te Ao Māori perspective. We've got a huge amount of diversity within our school here at Spotswood College. We have 950 students, I think. We've got a lot of neurodiverse students, and we've got a lot of a particular focus on rainbow youth as well, because we have so many of them. We have to cater for their special needs. But our impact inquiry program allows for us to consider and teach explicitly sustainability for obviously a different type of future for our young people. So I'm going to start by screen sharing. That one.
If anyone's got any questions, then throw them in the chat as we go along, and if we don't address them as we're talking, then we'll get to them at the end of the presentation. So I'll follow the chat so that you don't have to, Ali, if you want.
Oh, that'd be perfect. Right, are you all seeing my screen before I start?
Okay, thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, good. All right. So first of all, I wanted to start with this ad. Whenever I'm talking about our impact inquiry program, I always start with this ad, because as soon as I saw it, I was like, yes, that is exactly what I want our learners to be doing inside Spotswood College. That is what I want learning to look like. So I'm just going to share this with you for a start.
This week's homework? Gravity. Projects are due on Friday. Please. Homework. I hate you. You guys ready? You stink. Wash you away in the sink. I'd rather eat spinach in the river. Tackle the homework my teacher assigns. Last on my list. I simply can't see why you even exist. Just disappeared. Tickle me pink. Next up, homework. Oh, homework. I hate you. You stink.
I absolutely love that ad, because I thought, like, if I was going to learn about gravity, I would want to do so by throwing watermelons off a bridge, you know, like, rather than reading about it in a textbook. Totally. So I always like come back to sort of that, you know, that is our why. That is what we want learning to look like. We want it to be, you know, like very hands-on and oops, sorry. Okay, so at the beginning we were throwing this timetable. So no longer at Spotswood are we teaching math, science and English. We are now teaching literacy, numeracy, STEAM learning and impact inquiry. So this is our junior timetable. This is what it looks like. So as you can see, impact inquiry is in the middle block on a Tuesday and a Thursday. Every single junior student takes it then. And this is what we were given at the beginning. Like, you know, it was really difficult because there's not a lot of other schools that are working with programs like this. So, you know, a lot of it had to be designed right here on site by us, which was pretty challenging. But one of the things that really helped us when we started with this type of learning was that somebody shared this graphic with me. It was our deputy principal, who's since moved on and become a principal at a different school. But it's always made a lot of sense to me, and I've always kept this in my presentations. Up the vertical axis is the knowledge taxonomy and higher order thinking and knowledge processing. And along the side is an application model. And, you know, quite often, or traditionally in schools might have separated those two types of learners into academic learners and applied learners. But this graphic shows how if those two things are happening together at the same time, then that's when the real magic starts to happen. So we tried to make sense of that by creating this little graphic. You know, this is the connecting with the learning, putting it in, swooshing it all around, and then seeing what happens and the communication coming out the other end. But I always like to think of it as a smoothie. If you put, you know, some yummy fruit into a blender, turn it on, blend it all up, and then you've got this amazing other thing at the end of it. So that's what I like. That's how I make sense of this little graphic. You know, I see it as, you know, not just being that teacher that stands at the front, opening the flip top head, pouring it in, and that's it. It's like, what could you do with that knowledge, or what could you do with that information if you like turn it on and experiment with it and see what happens at the end. And another way that I make sense of that is by showing people these pictures of my son. His name's Quinn, and well, in this photo, he was about 7 or 8, I think. That's when he shot his first deer. But I like to think about like the authentic learning situations that can occur, and then the learning that can drop out of that kind of almost by accident. Do you get what I mean? Like, does that make sense? The accidental learning. So the context creates the situation for the learning to drop out of. And this is him when he first started hunting. And the things that he has, like, I've made a list, it's up here on my board, but he knows all New Zealand plants. He knows their names. He knows some medicinal uses for some of them. He knows how to spot animal sign. He knows bushcraft and survival. He knows the biology of deer. He knows, where its heart and lungs and stomach are situated. He knows New Zealand birds and their habitats. He knows where kiwi live, what it looks like out there in the bush. And he knows how to cook, and it's all just kind of fallen out of this authentic learning situation. He didn't start with I'm going to learn how to cook, or I'm going to learn where kiwi lives. That's just all dropped out the bottom. And I think that's a really important way to look at sort of inquiry learning, and then creating those contexts for the learning to occur. You're with me there? Shall I keep going? I feel it's weird being in a room talking to a screen. All good?
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
Hey, Ellie,
definitely,
can I
it's
ask
all good. Yeah.
Oh, can I ask a quick question, Ellie?
Yes.
Sorry, I know we were going to use the chat, but I just thought you sounded like you might be feeling a bit lonely, so I'm happy to talk. I'm just thinking, because this is something that I think about a lot with learning experiences, and a lot of my experience, and I work with lots and lots of different schools around the region, and it's about finding that connectivity. Like, how do you find that? It's that spark that ignites, that you kind of say, how do you fit in with the experience that learner wants? And I think with your son, did he have a role model or something that sparked him on his journey, to want to pursue that? And I think about that with a lot of people, even my own kids. They don't really care about what I do. They want to do other things. And I think, how do I ignite those sparks in people that kind of, so that they say, oh, that sits well with me, and that's how I want to pursue things in my life right now. And I know, that's just, it's a broad question, but it's just something I wondered if you had some idea.
Hopefully I will cover that, because that is one of the biggest challenges that we've had. Like, we're in our 4th year now of running this program. And at the beginning, we just started with anybody in any class with any teacher, hoping that the learning would still occur. We realized very quickly that we had to put the right mentors with the right type of students. And we've tried out several different ways of doing that, and I'm going to cover them shortly. Cool. So hopefully I asked your question. Yeah.
Thank you.
Cool. Because that was a big one. So the next thing that was kind of thrown at us was this methodology for managing a project. And this is design thinking, straight out of Stanford University. So, it makes sense to me. I have a Bachelor of Fine Art. I studied art. I now teach graphic design, animation, illustration, so design thinking is how I think naturally. So this makes total sense to me, but it didn't make sense to everybody. And so what I did for them was I created this this game. It's a game board. It sits on your whiteboard. Kids move around the game board, and as they move to each space on the game board, they turn over a new card, and the card has the challenge on it, or the task. So it's like a task sheet, but it's gamified to try and disguise the learning. But yeah, so design thinking is about, if you start up here with empathizing, I like to let's just call it researching, but researching is not necessarily sitting in front of a computer or reading a book. It might be like talking to people, shadowing people, finding out exactly what the problem is, unpacking it, looking at it from 50 million angles, whatever. Then the next step is to define the project. What's the project going to be? And the easiest way to do that is to write a project brief. Why, how long is it going to take? Put in the SMART goals and all that kind of stuff, measurable and whatnot. And then ideating is like where you start brainstorming those ideas. Prototyping. So prototyping is a word that they use a lot in technology, but it also is like a run through, or if you think about it in the arts, it's a dress rehearsal, or, so it's many things, prototyping. It doesn't have to be, physically something made. It's basically giving it a try out. And then testing is where you get a lot of the feedback to see whether or not it's met the needs, or it's actually fit into the brief that was written in the first place, or whether you need to go backwards and remanage it. And so this is how every single one of our students will manage their project, no matter what it is, across the whole entire curriculum. Okay, which is was quite challenging to get like our 500 junior students to all be kind of following some kind of a structure to manage their own project. We do have different types of resources. That's just one, the one that I wanted to share because it sort of like demonstrates the design thinking the best. But if I have time, I'll show some of the others. This at the end of 2000 and, hang on. Sorry, I'm just going to let two more people in here. Sorry, guys.
Thanks, Ali. We just had some, late attendees. Yeah, thank you.
Sorry.
Welcome, Tad.
Sorry, I didn't notice that. If anybody else sees anybody else in the waiting room, or am I the only person that can see that?
Yeah, you're the only one that can see the waiting room.
Oh, okay. Sorry if you were waiting there.
When you come on, can you just mute yourself? That would be great.
Yeah, it's been a bit sad sort of a turnout recently, but just people coming with like COVID and stuff.
Bill, can you mute yourself?
And
thanks.
but yeah, since we've been going on Toastmasters, we've been going on.
Creating a children's book.
I'll bring Petra. I'll bring Josh.
Dancing.
On Tuesday nights.
Bill, can you mute yourself, please?
It's fun, man. No, it's all part of dancing, so it's not.
Just like bring Josh like that.
Ellie, do you have the ability to mute him?
Yeah, but we you rotate around the room, so you don't think about it.
Jill, thanks.
Okay.
She'll be gutted, sorry.
I'm back.
Okay, thank you.
I'm creating a children's book for children aged about 3 to 6 about high functioning autism and autism in children to try and get more understanding and acceptance towards them. So our project is to grow microgreens and sell them to the wider community around Spotswood College. Microgreens are like little salads practically, and you can also use coriander and other herbs and curries to make them more flavour. This project is a design projects. So I design garments that are based off Disney characters and the fashion today, and bringing back old fashion trends into today.
My name is Swana, and my inquiry subject is to design murals for women. As a teacher, I hope to work with younger children to get them into art.
Oh, look at the mural.
Sorry, and I'm doing an inquiry based around building houses for the homeless. I think it really appealed to me because I've always had an eye for design and architecture, and so when it came up and I had the opportunity to actually design a way to reduce the homeless population in New Zealand, I think I took it and I'm really enjoying what I'm doing. I've had the opportunity to also use a range of different design techniques. Every time you use a different program, it shows you a different way to do something. And so using Minecraft, I'm actually able to visualize what I'm about to build, and building using paper, I'm able to take it down right down to the detail.
Hi, my name is Terry, and I like to talk about learning experiences outside the classroom and my life. Hi, I'm Jack, and I have my name is Ben, and this year's inquiry is to build just like track. Let's go. So my project for my design class is I'm designing a futuristic car company with super like high-tech new cars. And for inquiry, I am sort of adding to that by animating the cars and making them like drive and move, and making my project come to life.
I'm able to do my own type of learning. When I'm able to self-direct, and that really appeals to me because I'm an independent learner, and I'm able to do it at my own pace and my own direction and own speed, and I really enjoy that.
So that was, I suppose, a wrap up of the first 2 years of our Impact Inquiry program. And in these 2 years, like I said to you before, the first year we just made classes of 25 and gave them a teacher. So it was like a core teacher with 25 students in it. One thing that we realized from that was if you didn't have the teacher with the right specialist knowledge, sometimes there was a mismatch between what they could teach or advise the student, and what the student needed from the teacher and what the teacher was. We needed to have our music students or our art students with the arts teachers, so that they had the best possible mentor that would spark that that interest or encourage that passion. And so first year was everybody all in one pool. Second year we decided to give them course names. So we had names like Market Garden or Mural or Robotics or something like that. And that worked relatively well. Since then, what we have decided to do was to create bubbles of industry. So now we have, instead of having course titles, we have 6 bubbles or 5 bubbles. One's called Primary Industries, one's called Creative Industries, one's called Science Technology, one's Business, Enterprise, Hospitality and Tourism, and one's called Sport and Haora, Sport Management, all of that kind of stuff. So we're getting sort of the right teachers with the, the right mentors with the right groups of students, and but they're all doing the same program, even though they're doing it sort of within a sort of contextualized bubble, if you like. So, for example, the Primary Industries, for example, has beekeeping, naturopathy, market gardening, horticulture, science, all of that kind of stuff, all within that bubble. And then, the teachers that are teaching inside that bubble all work together to sort of manage, those students. Like if one of them's like up, beekeeping, and then says, actually, I want to go and make, I don't know, some sort of a product with it, lip balm, for example, then they might do a little session with the teacher that's working on beekeeping, and then they might jump over to the next class, to the other class, but they can move around as much as they like, but with inside the bubble, if you get what I mean. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey, Ellie, how did you sort of align those mentors? I think we're guessing that they're teachers, and you're picking from the pool of staff and strengths and passion of the staff and that stuff. Was there ever a time that you needed to sort of reach out further?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely, these are all teachers that I'm talking about, and it's amazing what extra strengths and passions that people have, like I would never have known that Jackie was a keen beekeeper until, we started actually teaching this course, and she's like, oh, I can do this, we can do this, and people are like, oh, we can do this, we can do that. But one other part of our school kaupapa is to work as much as we can with the community groups and the available collective knowledge, which is, why we became part of Enviro Schools, because, we're looking to join in with as many of those, businesses and organizations in our community that can, what do they say? It takes a village,
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. I don't think any of us here at Spotswood College believe that we're the fountain of knowledge. There's so many resources out there that we can work together to create like really amazing learning opportunities for young people.
Also, before we go on, from Jill, her audio just was not working, so she's going to watch the recording later, so she's mortified. Thank you, and sorry from Jill.
So this is obviously almost 2 years ago. What we decided to do was we had all these amazing projects. We're like, we need to show this, we need to showcase this. So now part of our program has become, at the beginning of term 4, a impact inquiry showcase. It's sort of like a science fair, I suppose, but it's more of a impact inquiry project fair, where all the kids are basically showing what they've done all year, because they're working on these projects for a long time. And we have awards that we give out too. So I think my next slide is, oh no, there's just some more photos. This slide, oh, hang on. This is an example of, put this in a bit back to front. I'm just going to quickly show you this. This is an example of a project that will be shown, or was shown at the showcase. So this kid here, you saw her before, she used a lot of different types of programs like Minecraft and SketchUp and all sorts of different ways to look at creating a plan for tiny housing. So this is kind of like using the design thinking methodology. This is the process and the outcome of a project. So we always talk about starting with the why it was important, why she chose to do this, you know, what is the issue. And I'm going to talk about the global sustainability goals and a bit later on and how we unpack those. But you know, that's where it all starts. So this is her why. What will she need? This is part of defining it. This is back to empathizing. Okay, mind mapping it. Why are we going to need tiny homes? Who needs them? You know, why would I bother doing this? And so this is her thinking it through. And then this is the who's it for? Who needs these and what do they need? What are their needs? And then this is obviously her doing a bit of research into that on good old Pinterest. And then further questions. So back into the defining, empathizing stage of it, like how can I get funding for this? Where might I get my materials? Where are they going to be situated? All of this stuff. Okay, and then this is the actual project brief. This is the problem. This is my target audience. This is who I'm making it for. So she's drawing tight boundaries around this project so that she can manage it. Details, materials, timeframes. Okay, and this is her starting to draw out her planning, which is the ideating stage of design thinking. This is her looking at regulations, building regulations and stuff, and requirements. This is her looking into waste and grey water systems. I'm just going to skip through all of that, but that's what they look like. That's only half a project. Obviously, then she prototyped it and she did all that stuff in Minecraft, and you know, we got the 3D version of it. But that's kind of like what the projects look like, and then they're presented. And yeah. So in our awards, this is our first lot of awards. That one an empty screen. Oh, so our first award is called the Empathizing Award, which we award for excellence in research skills, which that one there that we just saw was pretty amazing in terms of its research skills. And these are junior students, by the way, year 9s and 10s. So this kid here had done this really amazing study on jellyfish and something else, I can't remember what it was, and then started to animate them. And he had just done such an amazing job of that. And this is a defining award. This kid here had designed a, okay, sorry, I don't know anything about science or engineering, so I'm probably going to like mess up this description, but it's something to do with harnessing energy from waves to create a sustainable energy system. Yeah, or something like that, along those lines. And he made this when he was year 9. It was pretty impressive. But this is the kid that I said to you before, we realized pretty quickly, like this kid was in my class, and like I said, my background is art, design, all of that kind of stuff. And so I realized that I was completely the wrong mentor for this kid. You know, he needed a science teacher or an engineering teacher, you know, a different kind of mentor. We could have looked for somebody in the community, but it kind of made more sense to sort of like rearrange them so that they at least had that, you know, they were in like-minded groups of like-minded students doing similar projects with a teacher that could guide them through it a little bit better. This is for ideating. This is the one I just showed you, the tiny homes. So she got that award. And this one here, a couple of little girls that started with some kitchen science, and they made this little product called Spawa, which is Kawakawa balm. And since then, we've actually started sort of producing that on a bigger scale because people love it. And so they were just two little year 9 girls that did this amazing job of blending up some Kawakawa balm in their kitchen. and this is for testing presentation. So Swana, who you saw on the video, she did that amazing mural at our school, and then she went to the collaboration, did one there. She went out to Puketapu school, did one there, and then she started like kind of just muraling up the town. So that was a really awesome project for her. And then at that stage, we were thinking about having a senior impact inquiry, which we have kind of held back on because of the changes in NCEA at this stage. But at this point in 2020, we were thinking about launching this into the senior school, but we're just waiting to see what happens with NCEA at this stage. But this is Pretty Poi, and this girl here made poi out of all these beautiful fabrics and recycled bits of fabric from out of the fabric room and stuff like that. And that became really popular, and she started selling them in the collaboration in town. So that was a really cool little project that we've carried that on. We have, from that first year, we now have ongoing projects as well, ones that we couldn't just let finish at the end of the year because they were too cool. So we have a trapping program that is within the primary industries bubble. We also work with the Paper for Trees and the Trees for Survival Trust. The Trees for Survival Trust are coming into our school and putting up, we haven't got them yet, but they're putting up nursery situations, and we're planting the native trees, and then raising them, and once they're big enough, going out to plant them along waterways and stuff like that.
Greenhouse.
Yes, yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Yeah,
it's happening in this term, actually. Yeah,
they've already been in and measured it up and whatnot.
Yeah.
So, Ellie,
yes.
Just you're talking about propagation of native trees and things like that, and planting. Have you got any intent to look at the rear gully area of the kura?
When he came in, I said that's an area that we would actually quite like to plant out with these, and he said that would be perfectly fine. You just apply like anybody else would apply for the trees to be planted there. So I think we've got a pretty good chance of that, because if we're raising the trees, of course they're going to go, yeah, okay, sweet, you can plant them on you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a real blank canvas at the back there, eh? So really cool. Yeah. No, sweet. Thank you.
And we also have our market garden, orchard and chicken farm. The orchard has been amazingly supported by Enviro Schools. Richard drops us off a couple of fruit trees every now and then, and we add them to our orchard, which is so awesome because it's a baby orchard. It's there's no established trees in there. We've literally planted it. And the market garden is relatively new to the school too. We made that in 2020, I think it was, and the chicken farm as well, which is kind of built into the market garden compound. Marfell Community Garden we work with on a regular basis. Send our students down there to do some work, and Anissa's Monsters, another project which I will show you, which is kind of just an ongoing project. So this is our little chicken farm. We've got 20 chooks out the back of and the kids love them, and we sell the eggs to pay for the chicken food. So it's a circular thing. We're able to have the chickens on our kura. The kids are able to learn from that. Each year they come up with a different care management plan for that, or a different student will take on the project. They collect the eggs, we sell them in the designery, or actually they don't even make it to the designery. We sell them to our regular staff customers. Yeah. And we all have turns at, looking after them in the holidays. We've got a special needs student that does a lot of work with them. He comes in and during the holidays and hangs out with the chickens. This is our little baby orchard. Like, it's literally a baby orchard. And then on the other side is the garden compound, although I took these photos right at the end of summer, so it's looking a bit haggard. These are more photos of our market garden, and these are some girls that made this really cool little kasundi out of the tomatoes. Paper for trees, you probably already know what that is, and trees for survival, we talked about that before. We were also super lucky to be given the Earthwise Action Fund grant, which is EnviroSkills and Earthwise combined grant. We were able to establish our apiary, which is up on our school farm. We have 2 hives, 2 queens, 2, what do you call them? 2 hives. Who would ever have known that one bee costs $65, but yeah. And this year I was so super excited. I was beside myself excited when we got the honey. So that was so awesome. You know, everybody wanted a little jar of honey to take home, which was so cool. So that was like a little win for us. And these are our girls trying on their beekeeping suits. And this is the area where we've fenced off for the bees to live. And then this over here is one of our first products that came out of it, Tommy Balms, which was he called Bee Calm, which had I have to ask Jackie that. It had something in it, obviously, some sort of calming lavender or something like that, I suppose, in with the beeswax and the other stuff. And yeah, we sold out of that in the designery. That was a popular product. We also had some kids that worked on this project, which was really, it was a really cool project. They started tie-dyeing socks and t-shirts and making pronoun badges, which we also sold out of because they were so popular. Our kids here at the school love to support our rainbow youth because we've got such a large cohort of rainbow youth. So pronoun badges, whoever would have thought that everybody needs a pronoun badge? Yeah, so they made this really cool little business, but it ended up becoming a real sort of social campaign because once they started promoting themselves on social media, then other, you know, rainbow youth and the gay community and stuff like that got right in behind them and started promoting them as well. And it, you know, became sort of a discussion point, you know, so it became a real social enterprise as well as a business enterprise. And these students were year 9, so this is so cool, you know, they're just little babies really. So for them to, you know, create such an amazing enterprise was just such a cool thing to watch.
Absolutely. Before you keep going, Ali, we've got a question from Chauncey.
Sure.
Chauncey, did you want to just say that out?
Sure. Yeah, I felt pretty confident that this was part of it, but I'm just with the outcomes from your garden products and the apiary and those Be Calm and things like that. Is that all part of the, are the learners a part of leading the design and marketing of these products that they're creating?
They can be, but they don't have to be either, because we do have students that do have those types of skills as well that can work with them. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I mean. It's in-house. It's not like you don't just go, oh, yeah.
No, yeah, it's all made, or everything is made by the students. Yeah.
Yeah, because I was just thinking there's a really nice symbiosis there when you've got, you know, that you know, coordinating with other people that have a proclivity for design and marketing, and you can say, hey, we've got this product, I'm not really into that, I'm just into growing stuff, I'm into my bees, but I don't know how to do it. And that's society, right? We work together to create these solutions to things. So wonderful.
Yeah.
Double thumbs up. Awesome. Cool. Thank you.
I won't show you this video, but robotics is a big part of our inquiry program because there's so many cool things you can invent with robotics. And so these kids that are really into, you know, like robots and kind of coding and programming and stuff like that, they enter the KiwiBots through our Impact Inquiry program. And it's a competition basically, but the cool thing about the competition is that they give a design brief. And like, so last year, or the year before, I can't remember what it was, the design brief was to design robots that clean the ocean. So they can, like, they've got to have like a picky uppy thing, yeah. So basically they have got that design brief in mind when they're creating their robots, you know, with the purpose of picking up rubbish from out of the ocean or sucking it up or whatever it is that it needs to do. But we've got a really amazing robotics teacher, and these little kids here that you can see in this photo, they went off to the science fair, the Taranaki Science Fair last year, and our year 9s and 10s beat all the year 12s and 13s at the other from the other schools. So we were so super stoked about that, because you know, like those little successes are gold, aren't they?
Oh, absolutely! Wow, that's amazing.
This project here I love talking about, because this is like such a cool project. This is called Ahi Toti, and it literally translates as fire salt. And it started with these little girls, and it's salt that's been smoked over manuka in a fish smoker, basically. Well, that was what the prototype is. It's gone much bigger scale now. But in a fish smoker with manuka wood, and it's got horopito and black garlic in with the flaky salt. And anyway, this was their business and enterprise project, and they're working on it for their 3rd year now. They're going into the young enterprise with it, but also people will ring up the school and say, hey, have you got any more of that fire salt? It's so amazing. And recently it's been put onto it's going to be put on, I might be speaking out of term here. I think they're going to add it to the menu at the Novotel as well, which is, again, like, that's not a little win, that's a big win. So we're hoping that these girls—
That's a huge wow, big wow.
Yeah. Oh, I would love you all to come in and try it, because it's just amazing, this stuff. Everybody loves it, yeah. But yeah, like I said, they're ready now to take that into young enterprise this year. So we'll watch and see how that goes, because that's such a cool product. Oh, there they are making it, and that's what it looks like. And I'm back to SPOA again. So SPOA has obviously been packaged and is one of our sort of ongoing projects now. Like, so when a lot of the primary industries come in to learn how to, you know, sort of, you know, what types of projects they could do, they all make, you know, some sort of a balm, the bee balm, the SPOA balm. Jackie does this wheatgrass. I'm not sure what it is, it's bloody amazing. But yeah, all these really cool things are coming out of that class. So yeah, that's something that we've continued on with. So our arty students are working on using their artistic ability, songwriting ability, dance, to tackle some of the bigger sort of, you know, issues around global sustainability goals, or you know, just things that matter to them. So this example I chucked in here was campaigning to get more girls into skateboarding. You know, so they're using, basically we're trying to teach them how to use their skills, their interests, you know, to change the way that people view the world, you know, like Banksy, for example, or Bob Marley, or, you know, that you can use your skill in art to change the world. You don't actually have to invent a robot that picks up rubbish out of the ocean. Yeah, so that's and those are our arty designy students. And this one here is called Anissa's Monster. And Anissa was a girl in one of our classes that used to drink a Monster can of energy drink every single day, like so disgusting. And in the end, we started collecting all the cans because they were actually quite pretty. And now we make jewelry out of the energy drink cans. So that's something that we keep going with. Like people like stop at the school and drop us off like really pretty cans that they've, I don't know, drunk beer or something out of, and we turn them into jewelry and sell them in our designery. This was another really, this is a project from last year. So these projects are now from last year. This is what I want to check in because I thought it was so cool, and I thought that this one had potential to, I don't know, go a lot further, but it was just a prototype of these little toothpaste pellets. And you probably have all seen these before, but I'd never seen that before. And I was like, wow, that's amazing. Like everybody could do with a little tin of toothpaste pellets when they go hunting or tramping or I don't know, whatever. Anyway, thought that was pretty cool. And then we had some students that was sort of working on health and well-being and, you know, getting people on their bikes and out of their cars. They came up with this idea, which I thought was a bloody brilliant idea, and I wanted them to take it further, but they sort of, I was like, take that to council, you know, that's an amazing idea. But they never really went any further than just presenting it as a prototype like this. But the whole concept of it was that it's a bike trail, and with these little kind of posts that stick up out of the ground. That's New Plymouth, by the way. And their little posts stick up out of the ground and they've got a QR code on them. And then you scan the QR code and it tells you about the history of that particular area, or, you know, by just using your phone and the QR scanner. Anyway, I thought that was absolutely brilliant, but it never went any further than that. But that's still an amazing project. That.
Excuse me, Ali.
Yeah.
Are they still at school?
Yeah, they're year 11s now, these girls. Yep.
I wonder if they'd like me to help them do that. I'm part of the Let's Go group, not part of, but I'm, you know, I work with them all the time in regards to transport around New Plymouth, and getting youth on bikes and people on bikes in general is a really big push for them right now.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk then.
Okay.
Okay. I mean, you and I obviously can see a lot of potential in this project, that it's, you know, like, it's just a matter of like trying to get them to like see it through a bit further. I mean, we're talking 15-year-olds here. But I mean, that's the possibility of, you know, things like that under the youth council that we discussed, Lorraine. Those are the kinds of projects that we'd like to see them, you know, undertaking within that space, right?
Yep, for sure.
Yeah, cool. Oh, okay, this one here is a little animation. So this one's about, it's not very long because this is a COVID situation, but this is basically about where is your food coming from and has it been ethically and sustainably sourced? Sorry, I don't know what happened with the audio there, but anyway, you can see the potential in that. That could have been amazing if you had way more time, but that one's I'm blaming on COVID. Robotics again, sorry, we've already talked about that. Oh, mushroom farm. This is another COVID situation. I was so pumped to get this mushroom farm up and running, and some of our students were like, yeah, we want to do this for our Impact Inquiry project. We want to like grow mushrooms. And I was like, that's awesome. So we bought this shed and we bought all these starter kits and stuff like that. Like we insulated the shed and put it somewhere where we thought that, you know, would be a good temperature for for mushroom farming and whatnot. They started to grow the mushrooms, and then we locked down for about, I don't know, 6 weeks, and the mushrooms all shriveled up and died. So that never actually took off, but it's all sitting there waiting for you know, somebody else to come along and take that over, which is cool, you know. So watch this space. Next time you talk to me, we might have mushrooms.
That's all sounding really cool. We've got about 5-6 minutes left.
We do.
Did you want to keep going?
No, I will go, I'll jump a few and just remind myself how this was going to end. Oh yeah, okay, so I talked about the showcase. Oh, funding the projects. I won't need to talk about that, but I do want to talk about this. This is the designery.
We have an idea. Imagine if school.
Sorry. I do want to talk about the designery, because the designery is what funds a lot of the projects. We have a certain amount of curriculum funding for this, for these projects. And we do want, you know, as authentic as we can be with our learning situations. So if somebody comes to us and says, oh, I want to grow mushrooms, we want to be able to chuck money at that and go, yeah, here you go, here's all the things you need to go and grow mushrooms. Because, you know, like I said at the beginning, we want them all to throw watermelons off the bridge, right, to learn about gravity, but all of that obviously costs money. So we had some students a few years ago that, that came up with the idea of having the designery, which is the little shop out the front of our school. And this is the pitch that they used for the designery. So I just want to share this with you.
We have an idea. Imagine if schools could better connect with their communities. Imagine if students could express their creativity and share it with their families. Imagine if we made money that feeds back to the school in a sustainable way. Imagine a place where you could buy your eggs and pay for it with seeds. The designery is a self-sustainable creative space that aims to provide an outlet for school projects and authentic learning situations. For example, Spotswood College has a junior class that creates a market garden. We would like to provide a space which connects their products to real-life customers, real people. Students could gain barista experience and qualifications in our own cafe within the designery. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Fill out our survey and contribute to our community. Can you imagine the future?
Okay, obviously we don't have a cafe, but that was part of their thoughts that that would be cool, and they did look into it. It was just a bit difficult.
We have an idea.
Oh, sorry. And this is those students. They entered that project into Young Enterprise and came away with a whole bunch of awards, which was super awesome. And I just wanted to, I guess, finish off, you know, showing you and encouraging you to follow us on Instagram and Facebook. So it's _the_designery_. And this is where a lot of the projects, like not every single impact inquiry project obviously makes it into the designery, but the ones that can, that do have sort of market ability, saleability, we like to sell and then inject that money back into these programs. So like I said, if they want to go, yeah, I want to make a mushroom farm, we've got the funds sitting there waiting to be able to, you know, fund those new projects. So that's just a couple of screenshots of the Instagram pages. So I guess to quickly wrap it up, what I was trying to demonstrate was how easy it is to embed sustainability into the curriculum, and it should be part of what we do on a daily basis and not an extracurricular thing or a club or do you know what I mean? It should be for everybody. It should be taught explicitly in every single class. I guess that was my point. Thank you. Over to you, Lorraine.
Oh, kia ora, Ali. That was amazing. I loved how you wrapped it up. So for schools that are watching or here today, obviously one of your biggest benefits has been a whole school approach since Nicola turned up. And it was just sort of how you did it from the get-go. Do you reckon that people could, you know, work towards this kind of thing, or is this sort of a model that you'd like to share, or is it Yeah, it's recorded.
Oh, we're absolutely happy to share. Like, we have a lot of schools come and visit us at Spotswood College to see, you know, like how we are doing things. In particular, a lot of new schools that are popping up with new curriculums are purpose-built for this type of like learning. We're not purpose-built. Our classrooms look like they did, you know, 60 years ago when this school was built. They are literally teachers stand at the front of the room classrooms. So as we are like designing our rebuild and stuff like that, we are trying to think about spaces, environments for learning that are better situated or better set up for inquiry learning, project-based learning, all of that kind of stuff. But a lot of, because we're doing it inside these old buildings, a lot of schools do, you know, how can we redesign our curriculum and still make it work within these spaces, or with these constraints, or with this budget? You know, we do have we're a public school with a little average budget, you know, so, you know, how can this work? And we're happy to share that anytime. If anybody wants to come and visit, we welcome you.
Excellent. We might take you up on that. Some lovely comments in the chat. Yeah, so thank you very much. Does anyone want to chat with Ellie before, and instead of putting it in here in the chat, or shall I just read it?
Want to chat with you? Or leaving the chat? Okay.
Stop my screen so I can see you.
Thanks. Yeah.
This is her. Have you seen? Oh, no.
Were you going to go, Esther?
Oh, so I was having a conversation with Pete. He would love to, and I didn't realize I wasn't on mute. He was saying, do you want to come around, Pete? So Pete's here as well from Opunaki High. We've been sharing a screen. He'd be keen to take the kids for a visit at some stage, but he will, I'll give him your contact details, Ellie, and yeah, it's been really inspirational, really cool to see. Thank you.
Thank you.
I love the fact that you keep calling them these little kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We will have people from kindergarten all the way through to secondary watching this, and they'll probably be thinking, little kids? They're big kids.
Hey, I'd just like to acknowledge you, Ellie. You've got an incredible vision and a real can-do attitude. You look at problems as challenges to be solved and working ways around them. And what you've achieved in the short time that I've known you and your kura is absolutely fantastic. So yeah, I'm just so impressed with what you and your staff there at Spotswood College have achieved with your tamariki. Fantastic.
Oh, yeah, thank you, Richard.
I have another question, Ellie, just on some of the products that I've seen come up on the screen. So a lot of the packaging and labelling looks really quite professional. So do you just go in school, or do you sometimes work with just in school? Just in school. Okay, cool.
So I'm like I said before, I'm an art teacher. I teach graphic design, illustration, animation, art, jewellery, ceramics, everything. Yeah, so like we have, you know, and we've got super talented kids, you know, it's they've all got their own special skill set that they can contribute to this sort of collective project. So we haven't gone outside of school for any of the stuff other than, you know, resourcing, for example. Yeah. Yeah, but all of the labeling, all of the packaging and stuff like that, we order in from the little jars for Spawa. We order that in from Pure Nature, and they're reusable, you know, so we can take those back, clean them out, use them again. And we've just started buying the big, a couple of big plastic bins with the glass, you know, hand soap and air freshener pumps and stuff like that, you know, the fill your owns for the designery. So, you know, people can come in, fill it up, take it away. And we get amazing support from the community because the products are made on site by students. So I think that people like to support it because they kind of feel like they're sort of donating to the school in a way. So it's partially a donation, partially a genuine buy, but you know, whatever the reason, it's funds the other projects. So yeah.
Oh, Chauncey, you had a question about engaging those who potentially were a bit more challenging to engage. Did you want to talk more to that?
Yeah, no, I find, I mean, I love this stuff. It's really inspiring, and I have done quite a bit of work with Spotswood and quite a few of the teachers there over the years. And I always come away feeling, yeah, really, you know, like this, the direction is great, you know, and I've spoken to Nicola about this as well, and it's really, really great to see. And I see some really, I have friends and I have young people that attend the school and that are doing really well. And I went to Spotswood and I really didn't do well. And I do see some learners that don't. They do seem to still fall through the cracks, and I see there's a percentage there. And I just wonder how you have that. Like, I really love it how you've said you've looked at your staff and your team, and you said, how can we adapt and how can we find people that have their personal skills and their attributes that can align with individuals and groups that we can, you know, support. How do you work around that when you just find that? And I do see this, I know it happens at Spotswood, and I see this at other high schools, those kids that just really don't engage with anything, you know, they just don't want to be at school. You know, what are you kind of doing there? I don't want to spoil the party or rain on the parade. It's awesome, but I am one of those kids, and I'm still seeing it. So I'm just wondering what you're kind of doing there to kind of address that.
Yeah. So what we do is we kind of we're assessing the impact inquiry projects on a curriculum level 4, 5. We were doing 6, but then we realized that it was actually too high. We needed to go down one level. A lot of them are coming through with very limited literacy and numeracy skills, and when you don't have, you know, literacy and numeracy, it's very hard to access other parts of the curriculum. So there are some students that are getting like a whole lot of sort of remedial support around there, and they might come out of their inquiry class to do that. But the others, we like, for example, there's a lot of those kids that you're talking about in the sport management groups. What we try to do is keep the numbers very, very low in those classes. So, you know, we try and keep our class numbers between 20 and 25, so that you know, we can have more one-on-one time with, you know, like engaging those kids on an individual level. Obviously, like the 101 of teaching is to get to know your students as well as you possibly can, you know, so that you know exactly what it is that they are interested in. But I didn't actually get a chance to talk about the global sustainability goals, but what we do is we present the global sustainability goals at the beginning. We did this really cool yes thing where, have you guys heard about the greatest, what is it, the greatest lesson in the world or something about the global sustainability goals? Yeah, so what we do is get a big packet of lollies when they very first come in, and then give one person 10, and the next person 1, and the next person 5, and then the next person, you know, 3. And so like they all get given a different amount of lollies, and we start talking about like the world's resources, and, you know, like, and then there's cahoots and stuff like that are part of it. So sorry, I'm talking around in circles here, but I guess what I'm trying to say is that we wrote the assessment criteria, and we tried to put in as many different types of blended learning situations as we possibly can, completely cross-curricular. So we're, you know, even if they are doing sport science, sport management, haora, they're still doing numeracy and literacy within that. They're still doing technology within that. You know, everybody has to engage with technology in that space. But when we wrote the assessment criteria for it, it's written so like the absolute bottom level says, you know, with assistance is able to, you know, do some research for, sorry, that just really dulled down the assessment criteria, but, you know, it should be accessible to every single student, no matter what their numeracy and literacy skills are, or no matter what their level of engagement is. You know, they should still be able to, like I was just thinking about this kid that that made, what did he made hibiscus tea, you know, and his presentation was not amazing. Like you could tell that he had no presentation skills, no like literacy skills, you know. He had this board with like the title on it, some photos on it, but he'd made this really cool like hibiscus tea, dried it out, walked around every single staff member, tried it out on them, got some feedback, packaged it, and then presented it, you know. And so, you know, so that's a pass.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, Marlene, welcome. Sorry, I've been seeing you there. In a primary setting, are you relating and are you seeing some potential? You're muted. You're muted, Marlene. Ali, there we go.
You got me now?
Yeah.
Yes, can easily relate. It's very similar to what we do with our builder business with our year 7 and 8s, that they go through their, you know, identify a need, come up with a design brief and end up having their, making their product, their prototype and marketing their product on what we have a builder business night, and we can raise up to $3,000 or $4,000 sometimes, and that money goes back into like for their children, their big day out at the end of the year. So yeah, oh yes, definitely. And with our tech programs, you know, we do beeswax wraps and our kawa balm. So yeah, definitely.
Beautiful. Hey, Julie, are you there?
Hey.
So going back into a secondary space, you know how Ali's talking about having exactly the same school but a different driver. So you've got so much potential in Waitara as well, and you're sort of doing the snippets of what Ali's talking about as well, but it's same thing but different. But yeah, different things, of course.
Yeah, that was pretty cool to hear how you guys were tying in the vocational pathways with your, you know, with having like primary creative science, like, so pulling that in like that into what you're doing. That's awesome.
Yeah, hopefully they eventually will see that as, you know, like recognise that as a future pathway, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, kids don't know, you know, you ask them, oh, what do you want to do when you get older? They don't know, but they might know what kind of a pathway they might want to take, you know, like they might want to
or trial,
creative, you know, so probably creative industry is probably the right one for me, you know, or
yeah.
Awesome. Anyone else got anything to add, team?
I just want to say, I'm sorry I've spoken a lot, I'm just terrible. But going back to right at the start, I think it's so crucial what you said. I mean, a lot of this learning is really about, it really is, well, it's not by stealth, but it's creating these learning avenues where the learners don't even quite know they're doing it, you know, but they're taking it on. And I see that all the time. And I think if you can connect with people, and I think that for a lot of young people, that's what it's about. It's like, how do you relate? How do you connect to adults? How do you connect to a learning situation? And if you're doing that in a real learning and a value situation, and they're getting these things without even really knowing that they're signed up to do some STEM courses or whatever, but it's coming through, I think that stuff sits with our young people. And even if they might go through some tough times and some real difficult times in their older, you know, in their later teens or whatever, I think we've planted those seeds and they're still there. And I think a little bit of water down the line and some good growing conditions and they will flourish. So, hey, you know, awesome stuff. Great to hear. I mean, my oldest boys will be at Spotswood in a couple of years, so I'm very, very interested. Yeah, well done, and really appreciate the korero. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Kia ora. So anyone else before we tie up? Awesome. Oh, Ali, thank you so very much. Very inspirational, this inspiration session. Really look forward to seeing you again. I know Richard's going to talk to you about your holistic reflection. From my point of view, I'm like, there you go, just need some student chat. Yeah. Hey, really lovely. Yeah, lots of sharing. That was great. Can we, when you're ready, can you send through the recording? And if it's okay with everyone, we're going to send this out to those who haven't been here and probably put it on the EnviroSchools website to share it wider, because I think it's fairly inspiring, not just for Taranaki, it's even wider still. And if you're happy for people to connect in with you, Ali, then just let me know and I'll share your email address with the recording as well.
Okay, totally. Yeah. Wonderful. Okay.
Oh. All right. Well, can get down or.
Thank you, Ellie.
Thanks so much for your time.
Bye.
Okay, then. Thanks.